Ah, the deck gave you 4 levels. Hopefully that's easy to manage. That can be difficult to that can be difficult to do sometimes for some DMs if people are on different levels, especially when you're trying to balance out an encounter. But hey, I'm glad that you have this very interesting character now. In case anyone is here and has missed it, this is Rowmonger's inadvertent new old character. After a deck of many things hazard, the male dwarven tinker kind of transformed into a tiefling, a female tiefling tinkerer here, and we need the tail and the horns, but there you go. Oh, okay, Clark. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Oh, speaking of things like gender swaps and all that, now it's not really a swap. We got to determine for this random character which gender he or she will be, and or if it is a multi-class character. 56, we have a male. Actually, oh, are you gonna open this? For whatever reason, I must have derped out and whatever. I'll work with this. It only was like saving a couple asterisks. So we have a male. Which race? We're going to roll a d10, a 3, and the sub race is going to be the first one. Coming down here, this is going to be a Halfling Lightfoot. Oh, Bubonic last week made a spreadsheet version of this, and I'm sorry that I don't have that up right now. It was not meaningful. I got home like after eating dinner kind of late, and I just opened up what I normally did. I'll see if I can't work with your spreadsheet though, because you took some time to take this calculator and lay it out in a little bit more efficient manner. This just occurred to me here, right? So unfortunately, it was muscle memory. I didn't forget about you and what you did. So just bear with me, and we'll get through this. I appreciate it. Yeah, it gets maddening when some guys 2 level below and one is too high, but now evil. Oh, yeah, yeah. I agree, Peru. But you know what? Every DM is going to be different, and if this DM can handle that, boom, more power to him or her. Levels of percentile die. This is going to be a level 43. 43 is going to be in level 8 character. Next, we're going to determine the alignment. That's going to be 2D percentiles for each of the axes of alignment. 71, 61. This is going to be a true neutral character. We're just talking about a true neutral character in the Discord chat, I think. By the way, if there is anyone in here, there's the Discord if you want to join us to talk about RP stuff. You can share character art. Also, be sure to follow the channel, because not only can we help take down the stream boss up above, but we can build our community, get more input. This isn't just about me here. Grim goes on a voyage through the plains, and 8 and 8. Well, you know what? You only needed an 8, and so even though you're attacking at disadvantage, tis what it is, and that is true. So Mr. Grimm just barely defeats the lion. You all can envision a lion leaping out, and there's this epic struggle, and just barely in the nick of time, Mr. Grimm gets it, and it's worth 50 experience. Then there's a forest adventure that's loading up. Oh, 10 with a +3, not bad. Oh, now you're just shy by 1. I'm sorry for your luck. percentile if there's going to be any feats involved. Whoops. I accidentally rolled a 2. That's fine. The first one that rolled was a 75. And so a 75 will be right here. 1 feat. And so of the 2 ability score increases or ASIs that we get, one of them will become a feat. There we go. Nice and easy. Now, after all this, we need to determine the class. Oh, hey, Dark Wolf. Thank you for hosting. You actually get a bonus, a little experience point bonus, by the way, for hosting. So, thank you for doing so. All right, let's roll this nice, shiny, golden D12. And this is going to mean we get a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We get a monk with a D3 archetype. We're going to manufacture a D3, hit roll, and it's going to be archetype 3. Coming down here, monk 1, 2, 3. This is the Way of Shadow. We have not yet made a Way of Shadow monk. Background is going to be a D13, so we're going to add a 1 here. Hit roll, and we get a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Outlander. Outlander. Which type of Outlander is going to be a D10? Hit that. A 5. Unzan. We are going to get 2 personality types, which are D8s. We're going to hit 2, roll it. He is going to have a 7 and a 2. Now, if you remember, we're not filling in any words just yet. This is just the concept. And then we're going to build the story bit by bit as more of the character is revealed in detail. Change this to a 3d6 for the ideal bond and flaw. Hit roll. 1, 5, 6. There we go. And we are almost finished. Not quite yet. Let's see. We have a couple more adventures going on here. It's Clark is going on a trip through the plains. You need an 8 or greater. You rolled 2d20, 6 and 2. Oh, Clark, oof is right. That scarecrow just kind of came out and drug you off back into the wheat fields there. Hopefully someone can rescue you if you haven't become one of them yet. If you type in Hooded Mask Assassin, you get 90% that idiot from Assassin's Creed. You might want to make sure that I don't know if you want to type in like miniature or character art, or I think in Google image search, if you type in something like minus Creed, it will drop results that don't have or that have that word in it. Maybe that'll help. Now we are working with a halfling. Here's our stat line. They start at 2'7", and we're going to add 2d4 inches. We're going to add 5 inches, meaning that he is a whopping 3 feet tall. And we're going to take this same number 5, multiply it by 1 pound, add it to 35, and he has 40 libs. 40 libs of weight. Oh, Grim is getting destroyed here. Oh, gosh. Oh, sorry, Grim. Lastly, we're going to do age. Age is set on a probability curve here. We're going to roll a percentile to find out where this character is. 26, landing here as a young adult. Now, young adult for halfling, it's going to start at 20, and they go to about 250. So we can probably add about 60 years or so. We'll roll a 60-sided die, because that'll still be that young adult period in life, if we're stretching it out overall. And let's roll it. 4. Okay. A young adult it is. 24. So in comparison, this would be like, well, humans here, you know, young adult is really kind of like 16. So we have like a 16, 17-year-old culturally halfling. Okay. So everything is set up. We will not need the random roll guide anymore. And we're going to dig now into who and what this character is by background, which is first, then race, and then class. As I've just found that's a good way if we're doing random character creation and we're practicing storytelling. This isn't just for you as a potential player and your player character. If you're a DM and you want to populate a world, honestly, that's what we're doing. This is almost all these are almost DM sessions. But this is learning the system. This is providing compelling reasons for characters to exist and moving forward in that direction. Goodbye. Hello. These are listed alphabetically. Therefore, Outlander is right here. We get training in athletics and survival. We get some kind of instrument. As we're developing this character, I would love for you all in the audience to suggest what you think a character like this would play. Do we know what that is yet? Probably not, because we only have a handful of numbers. Though as the story comes about, maybe something will make sense. Some kind of a rhythm instrument, a woodwind, a horn. I don't know. We'll see. Whoops. Common and halfling. Dark Wolf is defeated by a warg. Oh. Rest in pepperonis. The plane, yeah, we have some savage planes this week. Oh my gosh. The farmers apparently haven't been going and culling the herds, have they? Alright, we get also... Actually, I mean, there's really no need to... A staff. A hunting trap. Animal trophy. Does it have to be an animal trophy? Not necessarily. We'll see what the story has in store for us. The story's going to tell itself. We're just the mediums, right? We're the fortune tellers, letting the spirits of character creation flow through us to deliver in this Twitch seance that we're having. As a DM, do you enjoy the crunch-heavy combat party or the super crazy plan-making Ocean's 11? I super enjoy creative thinking, Rowmonger. And I do the same as a DM. I don't mathematically balance my combats because I put in variables. I put in stage hazards. Like if we want to talk like Super Smash Brothers, there's usually some kind of an environmental effect, or if not an effect, there are ways that you can use the environment to your advantage, or if you don't, you might be at disadvantage. And so I might have a brutally tough monster that they have to fight, and you know, no items, final destination only, it would absolutely, you know, stomp them, or the situation would be super dire. Though, if the players are creative, they should be able to use the environment to their advantage and win out against the monster. So I'm not very crunch heavy. I enjoy creative thinking, creative use of spells. I enjoy role playing during fighting. Even I'm fine if something comes down to an intimidation check to try and end the combat without it having to resort to death or incapacitation. Yeah, Peru says, I love the crazy plan, but it often turns into heavy combat when they mess up. Yeah. And Ro, that was an awesome question. All of you, if you have preferences too, hey, hop aboard. And during this character creation process, I mean, for those of you who've been here for a while, you know that I'll stop and answer your questions. Though, if you're new here, please feel free to ask a question. It could be directly related to what we're doing. If you don't know what the Halfling language is, I mean, just it's something that's up there. I'll happily answer that for you. Like, why is Halfling different than Common? It could be related to that, or as Ro just did, he's asking about preferences, and that's perfectly fine. This is a conversation, not a lecture. And if I turn into kind of a soapbox lecturer, or if you feel like I'm ignoring you all, let me know. Sometimes I get very long-winded. Peru, pulling from the deck of many things like the Adept he is, gets a Vizier. Nice one. And Bubonic is going to try and tackle the Savage Plains. Giant Wolf Spider pops out. You need a 9 or greater. Bada boom, look at that. Rolling it. You get an 8 with that +1 modifier. Good thing you didn't skip leg day. The Giant Wolf Spider apparently like jumped on you, pinned you to the ground, but you had your sword out and right into it. Nice. No, you don't have to res, Mr. Grimm. That's a fun thing. If resing is just a fun way to, it's a role-playing prompt. There's not really a mechanical benefit to it. If you just want to see what you come up with, maybe you have a writer's block and you just want to generate a random character for something, you can do a res, please. Yep, Clark. Someone finally got through the easiest dungeon. Mathematically, you were all supposed to beat this. Well, most of you anyway. All right, so we have this male Lightfoot halfling, which is going to lend itself pretty well to monk, by the way. We have this. Oh, I'm sorry, and we have traveler's clothes and a belt pouch with 10 gapuz. There we go. Our origin was a 5. Looking at the chart here, that means, oh, cool. All right, so we have like a true neutral monk here. He is some kind of an exile or outcast. We'll put that there. This could be compelling, right? What if he was somehow thrown out of his monastic order? Hey, we're generating ideas. And if you have any out there, even though I didn't, I am only thinking about what I can. If you have a counter idea, or you think something else fits better, please let me know. You all are, well, okay, over here. You all are doing a lot of, conversing, playing games, and having fun. I want to make sure I'm paying attention to that, and you guys have input. These aren't my characters. These are our characters. Yep, there's that line again, Mr. Grimm. Hey, 12 and 12, look at that. So Mr. Grimm gets 75 experience points. Some duels going on. Grimm goes into the forest. You need a 12. And you get it. Clark goes into the plains for 125. And Clark also gets it. Very nice. Peru goes into the dungeon Oh, you set off an alarm. Oh, Peru, come on, you got to be a better thief than this. Stops on a 5. Uh-oh. Peru is pulled into the depths of the dungeon, probably to be thrown in this same old cage with the very specifically dieted ooze that is guarding you. Who can save Peru? Well, we'll find out. Our background feature is Wanderer. This allows us to have a good geographic memory. You always know the general layout of terrain, settlements, and other features. And we can feed ourselves and up to 5 other people because we've just been outside so long. Dark is leaving Peru to rot in the dungeon. Going through the forests, a giant elk pops out, and unfortunately, Dark Wolf, the elk turns you into a trophy. A good archetype for a fighter who is a defender. If you go Battle Master, you get those different like martial abilities, and you can take things like disarming strike and trip and all that. So you can try and mitigate damage that way. That would be interesting. Grim goes into the dungeon. Can he save Peru? Oh, Dark Wolf is no longer a tiefling. She's a female human druid. And Grim critically fails. Oh, the alarm gets Mr. Grim also. And now Peru and Grim are both being held in the dungeon, huddling for warmth, starving, guarded by an ooze. And, oh, it's terrible. And will someone turn off that alarm? Hey, Bobicus, welcome. Yeah, naturally stealthy. We will, yeah. This can be a very stealthy monk, especially we have an Outlander, probably going to be like a, kind of like the monk of the mountain kind of a thing. Grim is dead. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Grim. I'm going to give you 50 points, Mr. Grim, and you can use that to do an exclamation point res, please. Yeah, Peru. Good role-playing. Speaking of druids, Dark Wolf probably has made some more. Hey, look at that. She has a background now. If any of you didn't know, this is her character for Curse of Strahd. And she's been doing some character art over the course of several weeks now. And look at the state that it's in. Also, not only is this, a D&D a newer experience for her, this is a new experience artistically, because from what she's saying, she hasn't tried to use darker skin tones before. And wasn't there something else artistically? Like you were talking about using the braid and incorporating in the vine or something? Anyway, the point is she's challenging herself to not only play D&D and to get involved in that, but she's trying out some new art techniques too. Rowmonger heads into the dungeon. A poison dart shoots out at Row. He does a forward flip, avoids the dart, and wouldn't you know it, can bust out Peru and Mr. Grim. And hey, Mr. Grim uses the 50 EXP, comes back as a male tiefling rogue. Maybe you're not going to set off the alarm in the dungeon anymore if you're a male tiefling rogue. You know what, Mr. Grim? Sometimes mistakes happen when you come back to life. Yeah, that's true, Bubonic. It could almost be like an Aang from Airbender kind of thing. It's Outcast or Exile. We could flavor it something along those lines. Oh, Peru. This guy would strongly benefit from Dancing Lights, actually, because it would allow him to control where shadows fall and make his teleportability more powerful. Well, we'll see. We're almost there. I'm narrating a bit, and then I'll get back to the character here. The vine was to avoid the awkwardness of 2 tones and a 3-strand braid. No, that's fine. Oh, I owe some points to Rowmonger. 200 to be exact. Okay, there we go. Nice battle, Peru. What is her personality? Well, in this case, his. Let's find out. Number 7. I feel far more comfortable around animals than people. Okay. And number 2. I watch over my friends as if they were a litter of newborn pups. Aw. Well, there we go. Fortunately, she considers if you are his friend, he considers you an animal, and you're just fine. You're fine in his book for that. His ideal is a 1. Change. Life is like the seasons, in constant change, and we must change with it. While this is a chaotic branded ideal, this can still fit very well into neutral, right? If you're neutral, you're a leaf on the wind, right? You're riding it out. You're not fighting the wind. You're not causing more wind. You're a boat on the water in the waves, and you're riding out whatever comes. You hit the lows, you hit the highs, yet you're always trying to be steady. This works out well with this kind of a character. Yeah, class abilities allow him to cast darkness. His bond is a 5. I suffer awful visions of a coming disaster and will do anything to prevent it. If you're this character's DM, pay attention to the bond. This is a good hook for you to get him in and get the story going. His flaw, because we are all flawed creatures, is a 6. Don't expect me to save those who can't save themselves. It is nature's way that the strong thrive and the weak perish. This may seem at odds. It's not at odds with his ideal from how we were framing it. It's not at odds with a personality trait, because animals practice this by default, this is a flaw in so much that if he's willing to make an exception for his friends, who he watches over them, he's very vigilant. Well, this could be the in to his flaw. If you are a DM running for this character, this is a way to kind of get to the character and to provide some tension. To challenge him morally, that kind of a thing. Yeah, an Eldritch Knight could be fun. You can still be a defender as an Eldritch Knight, Mr. Grimm. Oh, it changes her ideal? You viewed it as a neutral thing too. Yeah, change happens. Just roll with it. Are you gonna fight it? Are you gonna be a rock that tries to stand against the ocean? Yeah, you can for 1,000 years, but you're gonna get beaten down. Awesome. So that's our background. Let's pop up to races. Bink. Halfling. Bink. I love this picture. Okay, our ability score increase is Dex. Yay, that's important for a monk. Age we have, alignment, that's fine. Our speed is 25 because we have wee little legs. We are lucky, meaning that we can reroll 1s. And again, I'm putting the names of these features down. I'm not writing out what they do. If you have a question about any of these racial features or anything that we're going over, please ask, and I will go back and I will read it, and I can explain how it fits into a character, when you'd use it, that kind of a thing. Hey, King, welcome. Neutral can be a lot of things. I've seen it described as an esoteric monk philosophy where good and evil and law and chaos don't matter. Really, the problem of alignment is that the DM often doesn't define what either of these quality thresholds mean. Are you unlawful if the law is unlawfully enforced against you and you resist it? Your DM will vary on his opinion. And that can also vary, too, in the same campaign. You know, you start in the, you know, the organized, the civilized, you know, the civilized kingdom, you know, murder's bad and, you know, don't do all this. And suddenly you go into, you know, you go into like an Unga Bunga jungle and they have this kind of an Outlander philosophy, right? So whereas in the kingdom, like you should help your fellow man and go out of your way. There's a lot of altruism, etc. You go into the jungle and the cultural norm, the laws of the jungle are, oh, did you fall in quicksand? Well, okay, I'm sorry. I'll just, you know, I'll live on for you. And then, you know, are you breaking the laws of the land if you try and help the person in the quicksand? So getting very, you know, hard attachment to those concepts can be kind of, I don't want to say dangerous. They can be distracting. They can be distracting into a campaign or for you as a character. So he's a monk from a lawful neutral monastery that teaches darker techniques. He used what they taught him to slay someone who insulted the temple and was cast out for it. That could end up being a compelling reason, Bobicus. Oh, hey, thank you very much. Oh, sorry about that. Greenman8921 has followed. Welcome. As you're watching, Green Man, I don't know if you've been lurking for a while, but I appreciate the follow. Feel free to ask questions. Right now we're generating a character out of randomness. And now we're assigning words to what the numbers were that we randomly generated, and we're building a story. If you have a question about D&D, role-playing, storytelling, if you want to know what lucky means, because I'm only putting the names of these abilities down and I'm not fully writing them out, please feel free to ask, and I will happily answer. As well, if you look down below, there's a host of chat games you can play, resources you can access. You're here to join in a conversation, have fun, share stories. If you play a lot of D&D and you want to say, oh, you wouldn't believe my last session, please feel free to do that. He's overly protective of things dear to him and believes that might is the natural order. A weakling insulting his temple was extremely offensive to someone like this. I can see that, Bobicus. So it's Clark. For those of you who didn't know, it's Clark shared his character's backstory, Zoe, in the Discord. And you could probably still find it if you go back and read it. He's a lawful character, but only in the sense that of the laws of nature, not the laws enforced by others. Yep. That he was able to slay him was proof enough that the fool shouldn't have spoken ill of the temple. That's almost as if like the character himself is speaking that. In addition to being lucky, we are brave as a halfling, meaning that we get advantage on saving throws against being frightened. And we get halfling nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that is of a size larger than yours. You're a small creature. That's going to be a lot. And especially as a monk, you're going to be able to just run through people's legs, going around and just, you know, you're punching kneecaps. Oh, the reign of terror will be unlike any the world has experienced in 200 years. As a Lightfoot, we get a point of Cha. And we also get naturally stealthy. You can attempt to hide even when you're obscured only by a creature that is at least one size larger than you. Again, you're small. Also, we have a way of shadow, and we'll get to what that means here in just a second, but being able to hide, being stealthy, kind of jumping around, this is by randomness, but this is going to be a good mechanical fit for the race and class. I love Lucky. Yeah, nothing better than turning the DM's 20 into a 4. Oh, Halfling? Just reroll 1. Yep. Yeah, Dark Wolf, just bust some kneecaps, or some caps in this case. Just go up and... Whoop-ah! Wah! King says a paladin player friend of mine is actually going through through the fallout of some benign alignment scandal, and the DM's response to this was to say that because she took a passive position in someone else's heated argument, that she's now an Oathbreaker paladin, which means she's a harbinger of hate who raises zombies. Clearly a fitting outcome. That's kind of that may seem like a bit of a strong stretch. If nothing else, maybe you could suggest to the table that she gets a prophetic dream from her god or her inspiration, kind of as a warning or a slap on the wrist, or she loses her powers for like 1d6 plus 1 days, or she has to make some kind of minor atonement, either as a quest, a sacrifice, something along those lines. But I appreciate you pointing out this anecdote, King, because we can see where not everything is always a black and white issue here. Just because you are a paladin and maybe you fall out of the rigid tenets every now and again doesn't mean that you instantly switch over to being in the evil BBEG fodder. Oh, not your group, or I'd suggest so. Okay. Well, still, that's a good thing to consider for any of you other PCs or DMs at home. Okay, that is our halfling. Beep. Classes. Beep. Monk. Beep. Let's come down here. Here's our level 8 line. So we're going to be going up from here. I don't know why it still wants 9 after that. Anyway. Our proficiency is a +3. Bink. Our martial arts is at a 1d6. Quarterstaff can be an 8 because it can be wielded in both hands. Yep, Magic Knights. Yeah, and so I'll answer your questions, Grim, as you're looking into building this first level character for Strahd. But hey, Peru looks like he's got you covered too. King might have an opinion here as well, so all of you can also ask each other for advice in the chat. I love seeing that because I honestly don't even wish I had all the answers, because then that means, I don't know, what else is there to explore in life? Life is a journey. It's full of discoveries. It's things that you want to be surprised by and learn. And it also makes you appreciate the other people that you're with because they know the things that you don't. So, yeah, you guys are cool. You have a paladin campaign you're running that has promised to free 6 kobolds from some fire newt slavers in exchange for the group's lives. I'm wondering what should happen if one of the kobolds dies and the paladin essentially breaks their word. Punishment based on the context? Was it accidental? Was it purposeful? Could it have been helped? Is this more of an internal guilt thing or an external punishment of the gods thing? We're operating on D8s, so we have 8 D8 hit dice. We're going to hold this as a reminder for when we generate hit points, but we can't do that until we have the other stats down. We get no armor proficiencies, and for weapons, we get simple and short swords. Tools, we can get an artisan tool or another musical instrument. We have one instrument already, so maybe we should go for an artisan of some kind. And again, as we're building this character and we're uncovering more of the story, we can fill this in. What would be appropriate for this character? Saving throws are strength and dex that we have proficiency in. And we get to choose 2 skills from acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, and stealth. Well, we are given survival and athletics, so athletics is already off the table. We're making a Way of Shadow monk. I think stealth is going to be important. So there's one of the two. Now, if any of you watching out there have another suggestion, it's just a radio button. I can click it on and off. I'm not married to the character. in the terms like, no, this is my precious character. How dare you ruin my vision? Whee! The kobold leader would probably want to take one of the group's lives. The deal was 6 lives for 6 lives. Bring back 5 kobolds and they kill one of the players. That seems like a lawful evil way of looking at the world. A blood price. Yeah, I agree, Bobicus. And you know what? If your paladin entered into that contract knowingly and willingly, are you going to break your oath? You, for your own reasons, decided to enter into that agreement. Yeah, it'd probably happen. Got any loot to trade? May open his heart up some. Oh no, Mr. Grimm has... Mr. Grimm has not been having a good night. Okay, what else do we need here? Tools. Oh, skills. Skills. So, acrobatics, history, insight, religion, or stealth. I don't know, I'm seeing kind of a physical character here, right? Acrobatics, athletics, stealth, and survival. We have this Outlander monk, very, the laws of nature. If he's not the strongest, then how can he expect to survive? I'm just seeing him as a physical character. He needs to interact with things physically. We start with the following equipment in addition to the equipment granted by your background. A short sword or any simple weapon. Now, we already have a quarterstaff, so what we can do... Short sword is, especially for monks, but you can do this with any class. It's just more apparent with monks. You can reflavor the names of weapons to ride on the chassis of the core weapon. So a short sword doesn't just have to be, a standard Western European short sword. It could be a wakizashi, the short of the 3 katana. You get the 3 blade set. So it could be something like that, unless you count that as a dagger, in which case it would be like the medium one of the 3. A short sword could be like a katar, which is like it's like a long punching blade, and so it's still piercing, and everything is fine there. You're just flavoring it differently, but it still carries the properties of the short sword. So acrobatics then would help jumping over trees and brush while running in the jungle. The jumping is more athletics, but the acrobatics is for things like doing tumbles, maybe trying to catch yourself falling out of a tree if you were to do so, although a monk's going to get an ability for something like that. But acrobatics could be, swinging tree branch to tree branch. It could be a lot of different things as well. A Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack, well, I think that one was kind of an easier choice. Now, we are going to be making a dungeon this week. If any of you just joined us and you haven't seen the stream schedule down below for the week, we will be making a dungeon. Though, does he need a Dungeoneer's pack? I don't see him being constantly underground. So this would be a good challenge for him, and as a way, as this character's DM, to help him grow and spotlight some of the... spotlight him as a character. And we also get 10 darts. There we go. Nice and easy. And you could reflavor things like darts to be shuriken, maybe even kunai if you wanted. Although kunai would probably be a dagger more than a dart. It's up to you. A temple sword, yeah, it could be kind of one of those like You could flavor it to be kind of like one of those like really wobbly, like the Chinese swords. And then they have like the tassel at the end to try and distract you as you're kind of wobbling and trying to get cuts and pokes in. All right, we get martial arts, and that itself is going to be all of these abilities. Again, I'm only putting down the name of the feature. If you need me to stop and go back and explain something, like why is martial arts its own weapon? Because it's different for a monk than it is for a tavern brawler. Unarmored movement. Oh, we're just a little shy of being able to get that next bump. However, starting at second level, our speed increases by 10 feet. So he is actually 35, which makes him a little quicker than, just a standard, like a human fighter or something. We are going to have a monastic tradition, and we will get there. That's our archetype. We're also going to get deflect missiles. So that's something where an arrow shot at the monk, and the monk can go, and catch it right in front of his face, and reduce the damage. And if you reduce it down far enough, you turn it around and you go, and you throw it right back at the person. What does it mean by proficiency in a land vehicle? Yeah, that's wagons. It means that you can drive a wagon or a buggy or something along those lines. If it's like an animal-driven land vehicle, you're going to be better at doing that than not. Slow fall, nice monk ability. Lets you tumble. You can think of the battlefield in more 3 dimensions. We're going to get an extra attack, in addition to the bonus attack that you get, in addition if you want to use your flurry of blows. So you just get that, kind of a thing. We are also going to get, and I'm going to put it under here, Stunning Strike. Our punches are not only bludgeoning damage, but they count as magical damage as well. We also get Evasion. At 7th level, this is when, if we would normally take half damage, then we take no damage. And only half if we fail. Stillness of Mind. Look at all these abilities. This is only a level 8 character. Starting at 7th level, you can use your action to end one effect on yourself that is causing you to be charmed or frightened. Well, fortunately, we already have the resistance to... we're more resistant to being frightened. Obviously, bad stuff happens. But we can end that, or... if the one has us covered, then not only are we always resistant to being frightened, but we can end a charm on us as well. Peru says, we had a game where I was an elemental monk that would ride our druid bear man into battle. That's awesome, Peru. Can you give an example of maybe some sort of a combat or an interaction you had where maybe, I don't know, did the enemies just not believe what they were seeing entering the battlefield? Or did you have some sort of a war cry that you yelled from atop your party member? Or can you share a story related to that, Peru? As you do that, we found the Way of the Shadow. Monks of the Way of Shadow follow a tradition that values stealth and subterfuge. These monks might be called ninjas or shadow dancers, and they serve as spies and assassins. Sometimes the members of a ninja monastery are family members, forming a clan sworn to secrecy about their arts and missions. Other monasteries are more like thieves' guilds, hiring out the services to nobles, rich merchants, or anyone else that can pay their fees. Regardless of their methods, the heads of these monasteries expect the unquestioning obedience of their students. So as Babacus was giving a little bit of like theory crafting background stuff, if you scroll just a little bit up in the chat, we can incorporate the pre-generated thoughts about these types of monks or ninjas or whatever you want to consider them to be. So at 3rd level, we get Shadow Arts. Starting when you choose this tradition at 3rd level, you can use your key to duplicate the effects of certain spells. As an action, you can spend 2 key points to cast Darkness, Dark Vision, Pass Without Trace, or Silence without providing material components. Additionally, you gain the Mirror Illusion cantrip if you don't already know it. And so we'll bleed that over a little bit into our 3rd spell page. And if you want to be flavorful, you know, if you like the concept of ninjas, especially as it was popularized in something like Naruto, you can do the mudra, right? You can do the hand signals, you know, of the different styles that you'd want to do. And that's up to you. Add some flavor. Role play your character. Get into his or her mind and body and have fun with it. And at 6th level, we get Shadowstep. You gain the ability to step from one shadow into another. When you are in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action, you can teleport up to 60 feet in an unoccupied space you can see that is also in dim light or darkness. You then have advantage on the first melee attack you make before the end of the turn. Is this getting your mind going? Is this sounding pretty cool? He was nice, would let me meditate on his back while walking with the party so you can get your key back. Aw, yeah, that's teamwork. Did you have a custom saddle or something? Did you like lay out a favorite blanket on him? You know, help swat flies that were kind of buzzing around wanting to bite him? King is offering some advice to Babacus. It would depend on how your paladin failed to save the maximum amount of kobolds. You would want to punish him on a professional level, level if his abilities just aren't up to par with his mouth. And punish him on a foundational level if he cowers away from danger. Yeah, I would agree with you, King. It depends on the circumstances. Although mine was a really simple, a little less profound way that you would put it. So, Peru, we busted out of a cave. We busted out of a cave. Him slashing people while I used a fire fist attack from his back. Just a man with fiery arms on an angry bear. Oh, Peru, I don't know how good you are at drawing. Can I challenge you, Peru? Can you draw this? I don't even care if you're horrible and you just get in and you only have MS Paint. Can you please draw that scene? It could be stick figures for all I care. I would love for you to draw that, and I want to put that up on the channel. You did have a saddle. Oh, please, I'm begging you, Peru. I want to see your take on this. Well, this was easy, right? We have all of this information now. It is time to... real quick. Babacus still had those possible story elements. Also, he has an instrument of some kind that we can allow him to play, and an artisan tool of some kind. So think about maybe what artisan tools are things like carpenter tools, leatherworking. Think of a tool set that someone with a job and is manufacturing something would have. And an instrument can be, you know, the book has different instruments, but it could be a flute, it could be a drum, it could be like a little a lyre, as I think how it's pronounced, Lyre instead of a lyre. You know, something like a guitar. It could even be one of those little, you know, from what are they called? They're like little meditation drums. If you remember, I think Mr. Miyagi had one in Karate Kid. It was the drum on the stick, and you would roll the stick like this, and then the two little like beads on the string would go back and forth, and it would go thump 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 thump, and that's supposed to help you concentrate, right? You're rolling this little hand drum. Bubonic says a shawm. A shawm, if I recall correctly, is think almost like the flutes that snake charmers play. Someone please shoot that monkey. Hey, now, come on, King. We're on a safari. I got the pith helmet and everything going. Dark Wolf says, non-D&D, but I have a picture of a knight riding a bear I drew a few months ago. It doesn't have to be directly related to a D&D game. It's a knight on a bear. Come on. Yeah, if you want to share a Dark Wolf, please, feel free to. I'll be happy to put that up. Oh, a shamisen for flavor? You know, that kind of, that Japanese banjo, for lack of a better term? Something like that could be cool. Yeah, I could see that. Character goal: hunt a Tyrannosaurus and punch them square in the jaw. That's a really big Shoryuken uppercut, isn't that? You know, you get this little halfling just goes Shoryuken, does this flaming uppercut right into the jaw of the Tyrannosaurus. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey, I'm glad you gave into the randomness, Mr. Grimm. We need to assign some stats. We get a 15, a 14, a 13, a 12, a 10, and an 8. Dex is for sure the major one for monks. Also, Wisdom is a big one for monks, especially because Dex and Wisdom, their modifiers add up and get added to 10 for our unarmored defense. And also, as we have survival, that it wouldn't go to waste if we dropped our 14 in here. He is a survivalist, so probably something like a 13 in strength, a 12 in charisma. He's not necessarily smart, although he should probably have, he probably should still have some extra hit points. What do you all think of this? This is going to put his dexterity to a 17 and his charisma to 11. But as we've been talking about this character, do you feel that these assignments for his ability scores seem correct to you? Do you see him differently? Let me know. You going to come up and say hi to everyone? Come on. He's thinking about it. Well, we may have a visitor soon. Or really any bamboo flute. Another halfling. Why, Dice Gods? Why? And Mr. Grimm's random personality or helpless romantic, always searching for that special someone. You get bored easily when... oh, and you want to get on with your destiny. Gotcha. Yeah, those are really fun folk hero ones. Well, presuming none of you take umbrage with this stat layout, this is what we're looking at here. Ideals, the stories, legends, and songs of the past must never be forgotten, for they teach us who we are. That provides some insight or some introspection. Abin Zasara would be another very rural Japanese instrument. I haven't heard of that name offhand, Babacus. Is it... Can you describe it? Is that kind of like that zither, that kind of... like the for lack of a better term, like the harp or whatever that they lay out horizontally? Bonds, you idolize a hero of the old tales and measure my deeds against that person's. Oh, cool. So you have, you're a big fan of Spider-Man, and you want to grow up and be just like him. And Flaws, you're a sucker for a pretty face. Oh. Babacus coming through with a link. The binzasara is a traditional Japanese percussion instrument used in folk songs, ritual dancings, and kabuki theater. The instrument uses many pieces of wood plates strung together with a cotton cord, with handles at both ends. The stack of wooden plates are played by moving them in a wave. Oh. All right. Maybe I can find some music of that, and I can put that on in a little bit here. There's our dex skills. Here's our whiz skills. 2, 2, 2, 2. There we go. And 5. Int. We're just going to copy and paste this because he's not the brightest when it comes to book studies. But he is kind of observant. There we go. Unfortunately, we can't use Star Wars instruments because they decided to call... oh, jeez. Oh, okay, Bubonic, yeah. Well, Mr. Grimm, flaws are kind of meant to do that. Not only for ways for you as a PC to get in trouble, but if you've been out of trouble too long, I as a DM who is aware of your flaws is probably going to pick at that scab a little bit. Okay, this is going to put our initiative at a +3. Now, we still need a feat to take. One of his ASIs was randomly rolled to be a feat. That's important to know here. All right, so we have a 15 for an armor class. And there's not necessarily going to be a feat. There are feats for hit points, though that's not really going to be a consideration, I think, because there's some other feats that he may want to end up taking. So he's a D8, meaning he gets maximum plus his con at level 1, meaning that's 9. And then we get 7 levels of the +1, so that's 7. And then we get 7 at half plus 1 is 5. 7 times 5 is 35. This is going to give us 42. This is going to give us 51 hit points. There we go. Easy math. No temporary right now. Maybe a bard or an inspiring leader will help change that. Clark says, that wasn't the flaw in my character sheet, but being a sucker for a pretty face got my rogue into a lot of trouble when I played him. Excellent. So now some of the stuff that Bobak has brought up is this is fodder for page 2. And if you watched the YouTube video for last week's campaign creation, you'll see that page 2 can add so much to your character and the story itself. For character creation, what we do in this session, I'm not too worried about filling this in, at least in front of you all right now. But this will come up later. Coming up here, we are going to get, at 8th level, we have Monk, and we have 8 key points. Wisdom, for lack of a better term, is going to be our spell casting ability. So we have 8 plus 3. Oh, actually, this is probably going to increase because we still need to put in the ability score adjustment and to give the feat. So yeah, I shouldn't fill that in just yet. In fact, I need to collapse this, and let's go down to customization options in Chapter 6. And here we see feats. If any of you are familiar with feats, feel free to shout out what you think this character might take. Otherwise, I'm going to browse and slightly read, like in front of you all, what some of them that might be appropriate for this character would be. Why don't we give him an ability score bump first? What we could probably do, if he's neutral, I almost want to say, and I know this might sound weird, but if we go 1-1 into charisma and strength, this is going to make him more well-rounded, meaning he's becoming more round, more whole. He's still using strength for some of the things that he's doing. And this is also making his presentation come across better. It's easy to just pump it in the dex, and you know what? I think there's a feat we can take that will give us dexterity to put him up to an 18. But I don't know. In concept, that feels kind of right. If you think differently, please say so in chat, and we can revise it. This is just a random character that we're making. We're practicing using our brains. Dual wield monk weapons. So take the dual wielding feat. Hey, well, look at the duelist feat, King. Use the matrix that they provide, Mr. Grimm. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. He might take mobile for the dex bump and the mobility. That's true, Bobicus. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That one doesn't give the dex. Athlete does. Right down here. When you're prone, standing up uses only 5 feet, so you get kind of like a kip up. Climbing doesn't have your speed, though that may not necessarily be an issue with... That may not necessarily be an issue with this kind of shadow monk, but if there's no shadows around and you don't want to spend your ki to cast points or to cast these spells, being able to climb yourself isn't a bad thing. And you can make a running long jump or a running high jump after moving only 5 feet. Yeah. I don't want to use UA for what we're doing here. No, it's good that you're thinking about that, King and Bobicus. All right, 1, 1. Look at this. All of these zeros become 1, and this strength, bink, bumps up to a 5. Too strong. Passive wisdom, perception is going to be a 12 for right now. All right, so maybe something that's going to give us a stat bump would be good. Otherwise, a +3 is not terrible still. There's ways that he can get advantage on things and to go from there. We could go dual wielder, especially if we wanted to make a very ninja style character. So, give him a weapon in each hand, like a dagger and a short sword, something along those lines, kind of like what King was suggesting. Pardon. Athlete is an option as well, making him more athletic and well-rounded. That would also bump Dex to an 18. Durable increases Con, and you can regain your hit points naturally more quickly. Elemental Adept can technically take, because we do know a spell. Grappler, we meet the strength for that. You've developed skills necessary to hold your own in close quarters grappling. You gain the following benefits. You have advantage on attack rolls, you're grappling. You can use your action to pin a creature. So, yeah, he may be small, but you know what? In something like Jiu-Jitsu, which is more like a wrestling submission, like get him to the ground style, that's a martial art. Dual wield shields, especially as a monk, right? Because you can't use them as a defensive measure. Welcome, Dell. Only athlete and second chance allow the dex bump. Armor feats do too, but monk, yeah. Fighting turtle style. How do you like it? Face to foot style. If any of you have seen Kung Pao Enter the Fist, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Dark sent the picture to the Discord. Okay, I'll put that up here. We're getting close to taking a break. I'll take a break and I'll show that then. Not finding second chance as a feat. Is that maybe a Xanathar's guide? Call me Betty. Yeah, that's true. Ooh, It's Clark is suggesting something interesting. A ritual caster, perhaps. We do have a wisdom that's higher. You've learned a number of spells you can cast as rituals. These spells are written in a ritual book, which you must have in hand while casting one of them. When you choose this feat, you acquire a ritual book holding 2 first-level spells of your choice. Choose one of the following classes: Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, or Wizard. You must choose your spells from that class's spell list, and the spells you choose must have the ritual tag. The class you choose also determines your spellcasting ability for these spells. If you come across spells in written form, such as a magic spell scroll or a wizard spell book, you might be able to add it to your ritual book. The spell must be on the spell list for the class you chose. The spell's level can be no higher than half your level rounded up, and it must have the ritual tag. You know, that would be a very cool suggestion, Clark. Right? Because he can use, I mean, not that you have to use magic. He has the wisdom for it. But wouldn't that be interesting that we have this monk, right? And he's, maybe we can work this, and this is a kind of a list of his meditations. And we can rewrite the rituals as his forms of magic. And we could probably go for druid, maybe druid magic, if he's going more this, natural Outlander style, things that he's picked up, it's like savage fighting, or maybe we could even do cleric. We definitely would want to favor wisdom. Prue says that's very close, Dark Wolf. I tend to stand when fighting the acrobatics rolls I had to make. You know, Clark, I think that might be crazy enough to work. I think Ritual Caster is going to add a lot to this character's flavor. It's going to provide the player and the DM alike to enhance the story some, provide goals and hooks and rewards. I kind of like that. And you know what, Bob? Because it's not that I'm not depreciating your suggestions. Because that was the first thing I was looking at too. I think Clark, though, made a very interesting suggestion that kind of fits with at least the feeling I'm getting from the character. And we'll have to choose which flavor of magic we're going with. King. Okay, so stats are going to stay there. And we are going to end up getting... We're going to get a few things here. We get a... Ritual Caster first level. Ritual Caster first level. We come back to classes and go down to Monk. Let's scroll through, and we are going to get... the Minor Illusion cantrip from Shadow Arts. Darkness, Dark Vision, Pass Without Trace, and Silence. Guy Flamebelly, he has a name. He's alive! Alive! King, I think what you're talking about is also reflected in the card game Munchkin. I presume you've heard of it or played of it. But that's called the Knee Pads of Allure. Dark, it's actually from a book I'm writing. The knight tames a wild bear and rides it to a cultist base to save his friend. I can dig it, Dark Wolf. If you want to run story, bounce ideas off of us, please do so. All right. 3 plus 8 plus 3 is 14. And this is going to be a plus 6 for spell attack, should we get into something like that. So the last thing that we have to do in order to get our monk going is let's flavor him with some herbs and spices. And by that I mean magic. Probably want to do something more like druid. Animal friendship, charm person, create or destroy water, cure wounds. Well, those aren't necessarily rituals. Detect poison and disease, entangle, fairy fire, fog cloud, goodberry, healing word, jump, long strider, purify food and drink, speak with animals, and thunder wave. He gets along better with animals, so maybe something like speak with animals or animal friendship. Let's look at that real quick. Animal friendship. Sorry, this is going to flash a little bit, so look away if you have to. LMNOPRS. Speak with animals is a ritual, so we could take that. You gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration. The knowledge and awareness of many beasts is limited by their intelligence, but at minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby locations and monsters. Put that in tentatively. If you think there's another spell that he should have, let me know. I've actually been getting a lot of inspiration for my book from these streams. Unfortunately, my laptop has been freaking out lately, so I haven't been able to work on it. Ooh, hopefully you save that and back that up, but I'm really happy you're getting inspiration from these streams, Dark Wolf. Clark is saying speak with animals and purify food and drink. Okay, I'll take a look at that and see, because I think that's on the druid spell list. Jam Jam has joined the party that we have going on. And Jam Jam, just so you know, the planes have been really savage today. Let's see how you do. You need a 10 or greater. You roll it. 9 plus 1. You just squeaked it in there. PogChamp on the Jam Jam. And you are going to get 50 exps for it. There you go. Silent fart without trace, or path without trace, flavoring with herbs and spices. He sounds like a sneaky fart machine. That's right, and he will deny that he dealt it, even if he detects that he's the one who smelt it. We can give him purify food and drink. In fact, that could only enhance his Outlander ability here of Wanderer, because this allows you to gather food and drink for you and up to 5 other people, but that's if the land even has that kind of a thing. However, if you're in I don't know, like a muddy wasteland and the water's really bad or something, you could use that ritual in order to eat the bad berries, or to make the spoiled meat of a carcass you found non-toxic. I mean, I'll leave the seasoning and spices to the party, but that could only enhance his abilities as a wanderer. I'll tell you what, he's level 8 also. So he would have. Let's even say he left the monastery with something along these lines. Let's give him. Let's give him 1d4 other rituals that he knows. And so we're gonna go on the druid list. And remember, he can take rituals up to half of his level, of his monk level. So, well, not like level 4 spells, but I'll go back to what that said. Let's roll. Okay, think of one more ritual from the druid spell list that we can give him. Let's go back here real quick to chapter 6. Come down here to Ritual Caster. So if we come across a spell in written form, okay, the spell must be on the spell list for the class you chose. The spell's level can be no higher than half of your level. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I guess it could be a level 4 spell then? I don't know, that seems... No, I guess that would make sense, right? Because full casters... I think full casters would get level 4 spells by 8. I'm almost certain of it. I can check real quick here, but... level 8. Oh, yeah. They can cast level 4 spells for sure. Okay. Commune with nature? That does seem like a pretty good one. That's the customization. Let's go back down to magic. And what do we have here? Commune, conjure. Let's conjure animals. Commune with nature is 5th level, Bobicus. So unfortunately, we can't take that yet. We'd have to be level 10. So we have level 1, 2, and 3 druid spells that are rituals that we can take for this character. I almost wish that they put a little like R or something after the spells here to make it a little easier. Yeah, Commune with Nature is level 5, it's Clark. So we can't take that one, unfortunately. We might be able to do something. Protection from poison might be a ritual. That could be interesting. Locate plants, animals or plants could also be one. Dispel magic. Oh, you like water breathing for a sneaky guy? Ooh. Yeah, Meld in the Stone could be a good one too. I never played a druid. By the way, hi Art Commander. I never played a druid. Is that a good class? All the classes are good. In 5th edition, things have been very... There's... I want to make sure I'm wording this correctly. The classes do very interesting things each. All the classes are fun to play and do something in particular. Though everyone is going to have a personal preference, or if you break everything down into hard numbers and math and statistics, there are probably going to be a couple classes that are just purely the best damage dealers, if we're min-maxing race and class and stats and all that. But I wouldn't worry about that too much, Ark. Play what you want, and you're going to have a fun time, and you're going to have tons of abilities to be able to use. Oh. Thank you, it's Clark. Huh, level 4 seems a little bare. So we have Meld in the Stones. I'm really fascinated then that QRS water breathing should be on here. Weird. I don't know. So that one might be missing. I kind of like water breathing. Right? Especially if this is kind of a ninja character, you know, you might have seen it in anime or whatnot. They hide under the water and they have the little, like, bamboo The little bamboo straw or something. The spell grants up to 10 willing creatures you can see within range the ability to breathe underwater until the spell ends. Affected creatures also retain their normal mode of respiration. And you know what? I'll tell you as a DM, if a PC picks up something like this, that opens up a whole other world of dungeons and exploration and fights that you can open up. I like Donjon because you can limit to druid class and ritual spells. Ah, okay. Jam Jam's hitting the plains, those savage plains. You need a 10 or greater. Jam Jam attacks at advantage, gets in there. Oh, Jam Jam's the champion of the plains tonight. Jeez. Very good. Water breathing. I think this can do some cool stuff, especially because this week we're going to be designing not just a map, but we're also going to be designing a dungeon together. And this could open up some interesting avenues. All right, so here we go. Aside from, think about some physical stuff, like some base physical traits, and also this character needs a name. So think of a name. We need an instrument of some kind and an artisan tool of some kind. And we will have a almost complete character. But anyway, I got to get up and stretch. I'm going to get some tea. I'm going to get up, and also this pith helmet it's fairly well ventilated. There's some holes up here. I'm going to take it off just so I can cool off a little bit. Oh no, the Jam Jam. Oh. Well,